Okay, we'll start in 1 minute.
hmm
All right.
Hello, I'm Ophelia.
And I'm Matthew.
Welcome to Art Mood. We're doing this art channel to share the joy of looking at art, which can be historical, contemporary, paintings, sculptures, or even photography. We'll be choosing a different theme for each month, and in this episode, we'll like to hear from you. So join us or leave us a message if you like what we do. And today, this is the second episode of the Hogarth series. So, which painting are we looking at today, Matthew?
Right. Today we'll be looking at Marriage a la Mode. It's a it's six paintings together telling a story about a marriage based on wealth. Um, yeah, Ophelia, can you tell us more about it?
Well, perhaps we should remind people like who Hogarth is.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hogarth?
Well, he was a painter in Covent Garden, and he started off by doing engravings. Then he got into paintings. He would do conversational pieces, which were essentially just family portraits and the like. And he grew into making satire paintings. A lot of his paintings were considered quite dark for that time, so often they wouldn't do that well. But nowadays, we people his work is really appreciated. Did I miss anything?
And so it sounds like he's famous in depicting human folly, hypocrisy,
Yes.
and corruptions, right?
Mm.
So they're still very topical in today's world.
Mm.
And marriage a la mode, literally translated as marriage in style, is just slightly shorter than the rig progress with six paintings. And interestingly, remember, I think I mentioned to you before Paula Rego, like
Yes.
a
Yes.
British Portuguese artist, so a living artist,
Mm.
and she recreated Mary Lameau too
Wow.
in a new style. Yes, and it's actually is showing at the Tate Britain now in her retrospective show.
Hmm. Ah, we should discuss it in another video. Might be good to make some comparisons.
Comparison. Well,
Yeah.
it's much shorter, and yeah, it's much. It's I think there's like three of them. It's a triptych, I think, instead of six.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's much shorter, and I don't know. I'm not sure how it's related to the Hogarth. It's not as um like a narrative as the Hogarth one. It's more symbolic one.
Mm. Okay.
But
Right.
let's look at the Hogarth marital mode today.
Mm. Oh, before we start, I
Mhm.
just wanted to mention that it actually took him 3 years to make it.
Really?
Yes, and you can currently see his work at the National Gallery. It's just right there. You can see.
3 years? Why so long though?
I'm not particularly sure, but I suppose paintings generally do take a while to make, and
hmm
this is maybe including the engravings he made afterwards. So, yeah,
So again, he painted it first and then created them into engravings.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
it seems that these are much more refined than the Rake's progress, right?
Yes, I.
When you went there to see, right, the National Gallery.
That's right. I imagine it's because it's maybe a bit it's after the rake's progress,
Mm.
so maybe it looks a bit more better.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, let's. Should we start on the first painting?
Yes, let's look at the first scene.
All right.
So here we are. What's this called?
Marriage settlement or marriage contract.
Hmm. Contract. So I guess it's very common, right, in those days to have arranged marriage, but even today in some society.
Mm. Exactly.
And here we see on the right hand side there are two men sitting there, two figures. One was holding all this. scroll, right? With a family tree.
Yes.
So what do you know about him?
So the one on the right is the Earl.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to essentially get his child married, his son married to
Mm-hmm.
the this daughter of this merchant.
So they're sitting right opposite each other, right?
Yes, that's right.
And who is the son?
The son is on the far left. You can sort of tell by both of them, like the son and the daughter, that they're just not into each other, like at all.
Yeah, the son is wearing like this very um fashionable embroidered coat, right? With shiny shoes and looking at himself in the mirror. Self-obsessed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and just a moment. Maybe I
And
can
the
zoom
daughter
in.
is and the daughter is just right behind him, right?
That's right. Yes. You can see him talking to talking to one of the characters, Silvertongue, who is their lawyer, essentially. I suppose he's helping them understand what's going on. I guess.
It seems like the daughter is very sad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Um,
again, and again, we can see this little black spot on the Earl's son.
yes, that's right.
So we know again, like he's been
Yeah,
going to places and fooling around
yeah,
before.
exactly,
It's like that, yes.
exactly.
An
Um,
actual player.
exactly. What else? What else? So essentially, the Earl is getting. Well, he wants his son to marry the daughter to get money, but the money apparently is from. Well, essentially, what happened is that they became some kind of bankrupt, and
Mm.
um, and they got bankrupt because if you see on the top right corner,
Mm-hmm.
you can see a building that's under construction.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly his the small amount of money he had left, he used it
Mm-hmm.
to build this extravagant house
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to live in.
Mm.
Yeah, and you can see
Squandering his money. So
exactly.
they're gonna marry their children to each other to like an exchange, right?
Yes, yes,
The merchant wants the position in higher society, whereas the earl wants money.
yes, exactly.
So we know from this first scene that it's going to be a doomed marriage,
Yes, yes,
probably. Okay.
yeah, more
So let's
likely.
look at the second scene.
Sure.
Well, here we see a pretty untidy room.
Mm. Well,
So they're
um,
married now, and that's the earl's son. And it's very when you first look at this, we first get really attracted by the lady, the earl's wife, right?
yes,
She's yawning, stretching. Shall we have a closer look?
sure.
Oh. So what do you think, Matthew?
Well, there's kind of a contrast between the husband and the wife. The wife
Yeah.
looks very pleased,
Mm-hmm.
whilst the husband looks very just fed up.
Fed
Yeah,
up.
yeah. I don't know, tired or disheartened. Um, there's a few things you can kind of imply from this.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at just a moment.
I think the husband looks indifferent, right?
Yeah.
As if he doesn't care too much.
Mm. If you look on the bottom right, you can see two things here. You have
Mm-hmm.
this dog, kind of scoped out something out of the husband's pocket. It's a woman's bonnet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which means maybe he's been fooling around with another woman. Just
So
happened.
he was like at a brothel or somewhere else the night
Exactly.
before.
Yeah, and you have this broken sword at the bottom of the image,
Mhm.
which you can sort of imply that it could represent his manhood.
Okay.
Yeah, it's he's I guess he went to a brothel and maybe it just didn't go well for him and he's not too happy about it.
Right. Or
Yeah.
he had a fight.
Mm.
And
And
then the lady looks very satisfied and happy, right?
yes, you have a stack of cards on the left. Um,
Mm.
just a moment.
So she probably had this um, game night.
Yes, exactly. And I kind of have a feeling that she's probably also cheating as well.
Yeah, she has this like her clothing are untidy and her hair's not very neat,
Mm,
and then this laziness, scratching out.
yeah. I think also the way she's sitting is very I don't know.
Not very modest.
Exactly, exactly. Bingo. So some people have implied that it's like kind of like a contrast between the husband and the wife. The husband isn't able to get lucky, but the wife is able to. I suppose if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And
Yeah.
this scene is called tete-a-tete, right?
Yes, that's right.
So it's like a little scoop into their private lives, right?
Yeah, it just means private conversation.
Yeah, and on the left hand side we see this figure holding like a stack of bills,
Yes.
and then like holding up his hand and then saying, "Oh, whatever," or like, "I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here."
Mm-mm.
So we can
Yeah.
see that this household is not very being taken care of at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Exactly.
Shall we look at what else do you want to say?
I
Talk
was
about this?
I was going to say I really like Hogarth's. He's always good
Humor.
at he's always good at showing a narrative like really well. Like you can
Yes.
sort of tell what's happening with just kind of a few clues and such. It's really
Mm-hmm.
good.
Shall we look at number 3?
Sure.
So here, I don't really understand this, but from just this painting here, we can see that the Earl's son is just right there with young prostitute, right?
It's implied, yes.
Yes, that's implied, and it's also implied that the young prostitute is dabbing her lips, which is an early sign of syphilis.
Mm, yes.
So he takes her to a doctor, right?
Mm.
But I'm not quite sure why the older lady looks upset.
Yes. From what I from what I've been looking into, it's
Mm-hmm.
this image can be looked at in different ways. You
Mm-hmm.
could see maybe the lady is either the doctor's assistant or
Mm-hmm.
the girl's mother, or maybe she's like the leader of a brothel.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She has a knife in her hand as well. If you...
Yes, and yeah, and then it almost seems like all of them has this like black spots on them.
Yes, yes. Hmm. It's it's a bit kind of confusing, I guess, what's happening. But
Mhm.
supposedly, yes, he is going to get. He wants medicine for the syphilis, I guess, maybe for the girl
Mhm.
or himself.
So he's holding out these pills or something. I don't
Yes,
know.
exactly.
Right.
They had mercury in it because apparently they thought that's what would kind of fix, syphilis.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's hard to see it from this particular image, but a lot of Hogarth's work
Hmm.
kind of take jabs at the French. Yeah.
Yes.
So
I
if
think in the first picture he did, right, with the Earl's clothing,
yes,
very
yes,
light and airy and Rococo style, elaborate.
yes, yes. It's he hated that sort of the way they dressed or the way they run things, and I mean it wasn't necessarily an uncommon mindset back then about the
Mm.
English not liking the French,
Mm.
but usually in his paintings he would make fun of the way they dress and the way
Mm.
they are doctors and that
The way
sort of thing.
they act, right?
Yeah. So I suspect that this doctor is also French.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I miss anything?
Should we look at the fourth one?
All right.
So here, like you mentioned earlier, that Hogarth's booking of fun at the French with the levee, right?
Yes, that's right.
But this time, this is the lady's levee, right? Where's the lady?
Yes. She's just a sec. Right over here. So she's getting her hair done at a kind of a grooming place.
Like a morning routine for her, right?
Yeah.
She wakes up and then there's the musician and there are guests there. But she looks disinterested to any of those people, right?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
sitting right across her, that's Silverton,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
What do you think they're talking about?
Right. So essentially, Silver Tongue is trying to convince her, hey, we could go to this masquerade party. I have this invitation, and if we go there, we can wear masks, and no one will know that we're there. If we keep the masks on. So just an excuse for them to get together.
So this is kind of a blooming kind of affair, right? As we see, there are two paintings up there, like historical paintings, like of seduction.
Yeah, you're right.
And then on the left, there's the singer, there's the musicians playing the flute. It's just like a French court or something with everyone there.
That's very true. Just a quick note. I did notice that the black people in this painting are actually kind of well dressed for that time period, which is quite interesting. Apparently, in quite a number of Hogarth's stories, they're quite well dressed. So yeah, I thought that was quite an interesting thing. Oh, I should probably also mention. It's a little hard to say from here, but so there's this item here called a what is it called? A coral rope. Supposedly, it's for like teething children. So at this point in time, she's had a child with
the Earl,
yeah.
the Earl's son, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a small point, but yeah.
I think the Earl's son, well, the older Earl has already passed away at this point, right?
That's right. Yes. Oh, I forgot.
So actually, she's like the Countess now, right?
Yes. That's
so
right.
yeah, their position has elevated, and so this shows here in the scene.
That's very true. Oh, good. Thanks for reminding me. Almost forgot. It's because it's kind of hard to tell from just this painting, I suppose.
Yes, it is difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's important when we go to the next scene. Let's look at the next one.
All right. So things are picking up. Do you want
what was the name of this?
It is called the banyo.
And what does it mean?
So a banyo is sort of like a brothel or like a place where you can kind of rent like a room for couples.
So it's like a motel.
Yeah, it's like a hotel for just couples.
For lovers to meet, and you can hire prostitutes, right?
Yeah, it's a little similar to like those Japanese love hotels or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here we see it's a pretty dark room, and we see that the Earl is dying.
Yes.
So he has been fatally wounded.
Yes. So essentially, you can kind of, it's pretty straightforward, but so the Countess and Silvertongue were meeting up there, to do stuff. And you can also see on the ground that there's these two masks. So they were previously at the masquerade. Yes. So the Earl, I guess, finds out about it, breaks in, and then you can see two swords on the ground. You can see one that's up and one that's covered in blood. And then I guess during the fight, the Silver Tongue pretty much fatally stabbed the Earl, and he makes a getaway on the left out of the window.
In his night dress, right? Scrambling out of the window.
Yeah.
And then I think on the right-hand side there are men coming too, right?
Yes.
So they must have heard of the commotion and then see what's happening.
It's the I guess the owner of the building plus the watch. Yeah, the watch usually carry like a lantern when they walk around on the streets. Yeah. So you can also see the Countess begging the Earl for forgiveness. Yeah. Is there anything else?
Yeah, let's look at the last one.
Okay. So
here, finally we see the Earl's child, right?
Yes, that's true.
So she or he, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, because they wear dresses, right? Boys and girls.
Yeah.
So the child is in the nanny's arms and then trying to say, a final goodbye to the mother being pulled away. And sadly, the child has this black spot as well.
Yes.
So it's been, got this disease, and this has been transferred to the next generation, which means.
Yeah.
So here we see that the room is more miserable, right?
Yes.
The previous one, more grand and with paintings. But here the room is dull.
Yes.
So and who is that man removing the ring from the Countess?
So I suppose the Countess's father.
So the miserly father, right?
Yes.
Because her husband passed away and there's nothing left for her. The only valuable thing is the gold ring.
Yes. He doesn't care that she's died. He just kind of.
Yeah, whatever he can take away from the daughter, right? What is happening with her?
So she drank something called laudanum. It's something that he used to make opium with. So supposedly she asked the guy on the far right to get some for her, and then she drank it because at the bottom of the screen you can see something like a last dying speech. At least that's what it says in the paper. So.
Silver Tongue, right? So her lover is being executed.
Yes, exactly.
For murder.
Yes. And she couldn't cope with, not being with him. So she decides to end her life. And you can see on the right that the two men arguing. The guy on the left is like, "Oh, why did you give it to her? Why did you give her the poison?" And I guess the servant is like, "Oh, I didn't know it was poison, or I didn't know she was going to drink it, or something."
Yeah. And again, we can see this upturned chair.
Yes. It's kind of a thing that appears in a few of Hogarth's paintings. It's always there to represent, chaos and the like. And what else? You can see on the right, you have this very, this dog that's very starved, very hungry.
Yeah.
Eating the head of a pig.
Yeah, they don't even have like proper meat, right? It's like a pig's head.
Yeah. It's it kind of shows how kind of bad they're doing financially, because the pig's head is pretty much the cheapest part of the pig.
Right.
Yeah. And it's very gloomy in that room because they don't have a lot anymore.
Mm.
Also, the child's legs.
Mm.
Let me just zoom in. So the child has kind of like these kind of frames around the leg
Mm.
because it has another like disease.
Mm.
I think it might be rickets, but I'm not sure.
What is that? I'm not sure.
It's the one where the legs kind of bend in a certain way.
Okay.
Like they bend inwards.
Right. So these like to straighten them and or support it.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it ended in a pretty gloomy way.
Yes, pretty much. But it's that was kind of the problem because at the time it wasn't very well received. People really
Mm.
hated this set of
Mm.
paintings, and Hogarth tried to sell them, but the frames that the paintings were in cost a lot more than the paintings themselves.
Mm.
So there were people who were only really paying for the frames, not the painting. Um, it was just it was a different time. So this kind of dark kind of storytelling was not appreciated,
Mm.
and it was so bad that apparently Hogarth wanted to work on a sequel called The Happy Marriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
But
but
it didn't come out, right?
no, it
It
didn't.
did.
No,
Yeah.
it just stayed as sketches somewhere.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, because it's always not a good idea to satirize the upper class, I guess,
Mm,
especially in those days.
that's
People
true.
took it a bit more personally.
Mm. I also just think it's just maybe those times were also just kind of depressing in general. So on top of
Mm.
that, you have more depression, you know.
Mm.
And nowadays, it's not uncommon to see something morbid. Like you have a lot of TV shows now that kind of have like morbid
Mm.
humor or something. But
Mm.
at the time, you wouldn't really see that unless it was something like a Christian painting, of maybe Jesus
Mm.
Christ on the cross or something. But
Mm.
you wouldn't really see paintings of telling of a bad situation, you
Mm.
know. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure if it was around at this time, it wouldn't be that morbid, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of today's piece then?
Well, I didn't mention this when we were talking about the pieces, but I did like the names of the characters. You have
Mm.
the
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Very, very intelligent, right?
yeah. You have Silver Tongue and you have Squanderfield.
Yeah, the Earl, right?
Yeah, the Earl and his
The
son.
Earl of Squander, and
Yeah,
the Squanderfield, the son.
yeah.
We don't really know the lady's name, right?
No, she's never given a name.
Mm.
Actually, most of the characters aren't really given names.
Yeah.
What did you like about it?
Well, rather alike, I think it's more how I see this painting. I guess it's a pretty miserable one, but a well depicted moral story about marriage.
Mm,
It's saddening to see the innocent child being affected, by this tragedy.
mm,
But it's always very impressive of how Hogarth depicted the story in 6 scenes. It's almost like watching a short film
yes, that's very true.
with like many symbolic details in the background,
Mm,
so we can always pick things up,
mm,
like or know what's going on or anticipate what is going to happen.
mm, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we always miss when we look at these paintings. So
Mm.
if you guys noticed anything, you can message the chat or you can check out YouTube and message us there.
Yeah, so that's the end of this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, like Matthew said, just leave us a message. And we'll be looking at 2 paintings by William Hogarth next week at the same time. And if you like what we do, subscribe to our YouTube channel under the same name. And have a good evening or a good day ahead, wherever you are. And we look forward to you joining us next week again.
Okay, goodbye, guys.
Goodbye.